Lynnell, how much differently do you view Duke without Big Pat?
Yeah, look, anytime you're trying to replace 6'11", 250 in your front court, you're going to need a lot of help. I know that they have, a guy off the bench in Brown that can come in and potentially, help spell them. But I think it totally changes how I look at Duke. I don't know if I feel like way less confident in their ability to go on a run. I just think the focus shifts even more to Cameron Boozer. Booz is going to have to pick up some of the slack in terms of on the glass, in terms of banging down low, preventing, second chance opportunities for teams. I don't know if it impacts them in the first weekend, but I think as they advance further in this tournament, it will be something that becomes an issue for them.
Here's what's most interesting about Cam Boozer. You're right that without Pat Gamba, he is the second center for Duke. When Malik Brown isn't on the court, Cam Boozer is essentially the center in the lineup. But it's also true because they don't have Caleb Foster that Cam Boozer in a half-court offense is your backup point guard as well. In fact, against Virginia, the game changed when Cam Boozer's shot was getting blocked over and over and over in the lane, that when they pulled him away from the basket and had him passing the ball and took the shot blocker away from the rim, it changed the game. And it also is what scouts love about Cam Boozer's game. You can have him run your offense as a point forward and do so at an above, average level. That's something to consider. Duke is not a Final Four team without Pat Gamba. In fact, they don't even make it as far as the Elite Eight without Big Pat. If they, if you want to talk about
why do you feel so strong? Like, and I'm only challenging you on this because I know you're somebody that's super high on Booze. Maybe that's not the nickname I should give him. Booze, like Boozer, is what I'm just gonna call him.
Yeah.
I just feel like if Cam Boozer is the guy we think he is, if Cam Boozer is as impactful in the force multiplier that scouts and basketball pundits across the country says that he is, this should not be that big of a loss.
Stop using that word. Stop using force multiplier. You love that word.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite word.
You love those words.
But
Stop it.
In reality, though, Josh, like if
let's
and I'm not
explain it.
and I'm not trying to act like I'm not also high on Boozer. Y'all know I just don't think he's the best. I think he's as good as some people say.
You drunk on the booze?
I'm not drunk on the booze. Actually, I actually need a few more from him. Like, I think, though, as we were kind of talking about as we were getting ready, he's got a lot of pressure on him. I automatically pointed him and go, yeah, you're the guy that's going to have to pick up the slack. But part of me also feels like, man, he's a winner. He's built for this moment. He's probably geeked up that he's going to have more on his plate. He embraces the challenge. You don't think Carlos is talking to him right now?
Well, here's the thing. It's the NCAA tournament. At this point, all the teams are good. You can get past the 16 seed with no problems. But then, even as soon as round 2, they've got, if they draw Ohio State in round 2, they've got a front line featuring a double-figure scorer that's 7 feet tall that'll give them some issues. If you, given Pat's uncertainty, the Blue Devils definitely have a rooting interest now in that 8-9 game. You want, if you're Duke, to see TCU rather than see Ohio State. Full stop. Let's start there. And if you do get through the first weekend, let's say you don't have Pat Gamba for whatever reason for the Sweet 16, you're not beating St. John's in the round of 16 with 7 guys. Not with Zuby Ezefor and not with Rick Pitino having a full week to game plan for you. That's an issue in many ways. And I get what you're saying. Oh, this guy's so good. But the teams you're playing as you move on are so good. And we're talking about somebody, you're asking Cam Boozer to be your backup center and backup point guard and have no issue advancing against teams that have more guys.
I'm asking him to defend, I'm asking him to rebound, and I'm asking him to have a big impact offensively. That is what you expect out of a guy that's supposed to be the number 1 overall pick coming up in this class.
Who says he's the number one pick?
Until we finally woke up and realized that, hey, A.J. DeBonce is the best scorer walking God's green earth right now in college. It was Boozer. Everyone looks at Boozer as the most well-rounded cat
in this class. Darren Peterson. It was Darren Peterson before Darren Peterson decided to go rogue and not talk to anybody and had the weird hamstring stuff. And then A.J. DeBonce was the consistent scorer. Never did we see people really suggesting that Cam Boozer was going to be the number one guy. He is in that top class. He is the best player in college basketball this year. But that doesn't overcome great teams that you play on a consistent basis in this tournament, and at least there isn't a lot of precedent for it. But the good news is this. The good news is that Duke, their goal was to have him for Saturday night, not Thursday. And this was explained to me. Literally, as confetti is flying in the air in Charlotte Saturday night, I'm there at the ACC Championship, and I have Duke staffers, Duke support staff and folks close to the team telling me, we know we're going to be fine getting through the 16 game. The concern is as early as round 2. That's what they have circled, hoping he's going to be back for. And to double down the impact defensively that Pat Gamba brings to the Duke lineup, the Field of 68's Rob Doster joined me over the weekend. This is courtesy of Westwood One Sports, to talk about the impact that Gamba has on that side of the floor. Who do you view as being more vulnerable going into tournament play?
UConn did this in 2023 and 24, which is what made them so good on that end. They would drop with Donovan Clingan, and they'd hard hedge with either Adama Sanogo or Samson Johnson, which is like complete polar opposites in terms of style of defense. So you almost have to prepare for two different kind of teams and two different defensive sets and two different ways of playing. And they do both at the same level. And that's kind of what Duke does. When they have Gamba out there, they're playing a little bit more deep. It's a little bit more drop. It's a little bit more physical. And then when they have Malik Brown, they're trying to switch everything 1 through 5. They're trying to take you out of what you want to run.
Defensively, it's when Malik Brown's in there, it's worth noting that he, coming off the bench, is the defensive player of the year in the ACC.
Yeah.
So they switch 1 through 5 when Malik Brown's playing at center. When Pat Gamba's out there, it's a totally different element with his ability to block shots, is more of a rim protector, and he has more size, and he's a little rounder, a little bigger inside than what Malik is. So it's a totally different element.
Where I think it could be an advantage, though, because I don't know how much of, and I obviously get the chops that he has defensively. Are you better off if you're Duke exploiting potential matchups with Boozer at the 5 in certain situations and allowing him to potentially be the more athletic guy against the bigger cats that you're going to have to see if Ohio State. That would be my matchup. If I was Duke going up against Ohio State, I want that matchup. That's that on the offensive end, at least. Defensively, it's a whole other ballgame. I genuinely do worry about their ability to rebound, but I'm looking at Boozer like, dog, his daddy just compared him to Tim Duncan, damn it. He better be – look, Ngamba being down better not be the end of the road for Duke if Cam Boozer is who we think Cam Boozer is supposed to be.
I'm sorry,
100%.
man. Not if you're shorthanded. Do you know how many Final Fours Tim Duncan went to as the National Player of the Year? 0. Tim Duncan, really good, and was the number 1 pick in the draft,
sure,
and a 4-year player in college, one of the best college power forwards that we ever seen. But that doesn't mean that to answer your question, why you don't play him at center the entire game is because you need him to be your backup point guard too, because you're starting point guards out. That's
you can
the
do
problem.
that. He can still be your point offensively and handle the basketball. It's getting creative. This is on John Schneider. Create good lineups.
The excuses you're willing to make for your boy Darren Peterson all throughout the year, and now the standard you're holding Cam Boozer to
is Cam Boozer
absolutely insane.
I'm not holding him to a standard. It's a standard.
You're saying that damn it, I need you to play point guard and center, and I need you to beat every team in the tournament if that's who you are.
But
what are you talking about?
This is my whole thing, Josh. What I'm talking about is this. This tournament is about star power. This tournament is about the best players impacting the game. It's why I don't look. AJ DeBonce lost his number 2. Have you heard my expectations change for BYU? No, I have the same expectations for DeBonsa. This is what great elite players do in the month of March. They overcome adversity. That's what the best do.
I think you're misreading what this tournament has been. I don't think – when's the last time the best player or the – last year Cooper Flagg didn't make the national championship.
Did you watch Walter Clayton in the national championship game? Did you watch him throughout
Clayton
the run?
Wasn't
in the
even
tournament?
a top 20 pick.
He was the best player on the floor, though, throughout the course of the tournament. He fried.
If you watch the college season, he was not one of the 5 best guys in the sport. I thought we were talking about the best guys on the sport. I'm not saying the other teams, the other players don't have good.
Walter Clayton.
The other teams don't have good players.
I think you'll totally
the best
are willing
teams
to concede.
win. The best teams win. Those are the teams that win in this tournament, not the ones that have the best players all the time.
Florida was the best team. Walter Clayton was the best player on the floor for the entire tournament. Every game he stepped on the floor, and he played like it. He carried them offensively.
Yes, but he wasn't one of the 5 best players in college basketball last year, which is why he didn't
in
get
the
drafted
tournament.
in the first 20 picks.
He didn't get drafted because he's a smaller guard. That his game doesn't translate to the NBA level because of his height. He was one of the best players in college basketball last year. Josh, are you kidding? Was he not first team All-America? Second team All-America?
I don't think he was first team.
Walter
Clayton?
Clayton?
Have to double check that.
All year
I know
long,
Braden
Walter
Smith
Clayton.
was, Cooper Flagg. It was Janai Broome at Auburn. And it was...
You want to talk about a guy's game not translating to the next level.
Who gives a rip how it translates? We're talking about college basketball here.
Walter Clayton was an AP All-American.
Well, was he
one of the best players?
Was the question. I knew he was an All-American. Was he?
Yes,
was he first
he was
team?
first team. It was him,
Okay.
it was Broome, it was Flagg, Sears, and Smith.
The dismissal of Janai Broome, that's not kind.
Josh,
Janai Broome
you know how I
was the
feel about
second
him.
best. It was him and Cooper Flagg, the 2 best players in college basketball last year.
When
The entire
he
year.
got into the
Went to the Final Four.
How well did he play in that game?
Went to the Final Four.
How well did he play in that matchup?
Wow, I mean, 4 really good teams.
But my point is this: good players in this tournament's about players. You think it's about teams? I think it's about players.
You're setting it up to say if Cam Boozer's not able to carry 7 guys to the Final Four, given a series of doom that's been set in front of them, how they've been screwed by the committee with the teams that have been put in front of them, that is an indictment on Cam Boozer. That if Cam Boozer is the guy, then you get to the Final Four. I'm saying it's not that simple because I have respect for St. John's. I have respect for Tom Izzo. I have respect for the teams that they might have to run against while being shorthanded. And I think missing Pat Gamba is a huge deal
It's a
for
big
Duke.
piece. It's a big piece. It's not the end of the road for them. It's not.